Today, I'm here talking with Tim Courtney, who is the VP of Franchise Development for PuroClean. And I just looked it up. We have been working with PuroClean since 2016, but our relationship goes back much further because I was blessed to work with Tim at a prior job when he was also on the development side. So I thought it would be great to start with, Tim, I think we had worked with PuroClean once on the operation side before you came into the brand. But I love the story of you're one of the people that really use FBR very well in your development process.
Yes.
And when you came into PuroClean, I was wondering how do you approach your team to get them on board to do this type of survey, especially coming from the development side? Like, what was that conversation like, or why was it important for you to do that when you initially came into the brand?
And that's a great question. I think, onboarding with PuroClean and trying to figure out a lot of things from a process standpoint and trying to certainly, find the right franchise candidates. I think, as that time went on and I finally got to my first PuroClean convention and, the enthusiasm and the excitement of franchisees who have, you know, the was very high for PureClean, and it's something, of course, when you come from another brand that's much larger, and there's maybe not all that enthusiasm all the time, but just to see how engaged the franchisees were and how really excited they were. I mean, this is a brand that we call a re-emerging brand, right? PureClean under new ownership now for 5 years. Steve's been here, Steve White, our president, chief operating officer, here a little time before that. And he's the one who really started to change the culture here, putting forth a great servant leader model and franchisee first. And that's really just started to grow, and I was like, wow, we got to capture this. And that's when I said, have you guys ever done the FBR survey? And Steve was like, yeah, a while ago, and maybe we didn't do so well, but we were still going through changes, and I don't know. I said, well, based on what I just saw at convention, I think now's a good time to go back in and see. And then just talked about how I've used it in the past, how we've met with all the execs, and what were the top 5 reasons why they, that we scored well, what were the bottom 5 things that we scored well, and maybe those were things that we worked on, with our leadership councils and stuff to improve. And it was just really, it was me being excited on how excited the franchisees were, that I was just curious to see. And of course, we did the survey, and we scored very well, and we used it to our advantage, and it's helped also in those bottom 5 things that we still look at today, help drive change in the network.
Yeah. Well, and I would say, so Steve is a really strong operations leader. And so I know that he was really digging into the data and using it on the operation side. But what I'll say is just my time in franchising, there's the stereotypical sales guy or gal that's so development focused, and they're like 100 locations sold and just really focused on that number. And that's probably some reflection of the goals that are put on people on the development team. But I feel like you are part of this, I would say, elite group of franchise development executives that really understands the alignment or the importance of the operations and the development team understanding from a franchisee's perspective what's happening.
Yeah.
That if you sell something your operations team can't deliver on, that's going to make your job a lot harder. And you're not bouncing from brand to brand. So you're there to bring in the right candidate to the brand and then see them be successful. So that makes your job easier. So I love that you kind of connect those teams or those thoughts together. And I love, because so I know that Steve is using it on the operation side, but I love that the way that you guys use it on the candidate side. And I wonder if you could tell us, what does it mean to you to be a franchise satisfaction award winner, or to have that data that you have to share with candidates that you're trying to tell them or understand if they're the right fit for your brand, tell them about PuroClean.
Well, that all leads with that. I go back to the servant leadership and some of our core values, which is, obviously the servant leadership, active collaboration, and extreme ownership. So active collaboration means we start collaborating with our franchisee prospects from the very beginning. Once they really get into that application level, once they start to, prepare themselves for Meet the Team Day, which, by the way, we're now back to doing hybrid Meet the Team Days, where if you want to come, but we're also still going to have our virtual Meet the Team Days, which were widely successful last year. So right now, today, we actually have guests in-house, and we have some via the computer, and we're really seeing a good success with that. But at the end of every Meet the Team Day, we pull up the little one sheet that we certainly create from the FBR survey that calls out some of the best marks about, will our franchise owners do this again, and the high marks that we get with that. And then I say, look, if you want full access to this report, let me know, and I'll email it to you, and you can, we're an open book. And so they see that, and and all of a sudden they're like, wow, so active collaboration isn't something that's just painted on their wall in the lobby. They're going to share that with me, good, bad, or ugly. I said, you can have access to it and ask us any questions on it. And that, I think, really helps us, a long way, and shows credibility in the brand.
Yeah, and I think I think that can be really scary for a lot of development people to think through. Like, I just want to show the positive parts. I just want to, sell my brand and put the best foot forward. But this is really not about any information that they're not going to find by picking up the phone and talking to franchisees. And I think it allows you to quantify the amount of franchisees that are unhappy, which, spoiler alert, if you have over 50 franchisees, someone's not happy. I mean, it's just, that's the nature of personalities. And I think it also gives them an opportunity to ask you about what they're seeing. And so it's that age old thing that they tell us all in sales is, you can't fight an objection unless you get them to articulate what it is. So I think this just helps foster that, what you said, that, we're open. So ask me what you're seeing. Tell me what might be raising a red flag, or what you're excited about. And it allows you to just do more of a relationship than just no, look at the shiny, look at the shiny. Yeah. So I love that. That's great. So how about this last year was crazy, and no matter who you talk to, they have a different story. So tell us how your team and how your franchisees were impacted during COVID. I'm assuming that they were very busy.
Yes, well, we were very busy from an operational side, obviously. We're PuroClean, and certainly our core business is water damage, fire, smoke damage, and mold, but also, biohazard, which would, include virus stuff. So I think as the country tried to figure out, well, how do we mitigate the virus and how do we clean? So our ops teams worked really, late nights trying to figure out what's the latest CDC guidance, what's the best products to clean this, and all of that. And a lot of our owners took those and started to give back to their community as well. So a lot of them cleaned ambulances for free. They cleaned, first responder vehicles, everything that they could to give back as well. And in the end, it drew press and stuff for local franchises and helped drive the brand. I can tell you, though, that it was not the virus business that really helped shape PuroClean. Our core continued to grow. Pipes break, toilets and bathtubs overflow, and kitchens burn. I always tell this joke, and it's not really a joke, but it's like, the more we tried to recreate the dishes from our restaurants that we weren't allowed to go to anymore, we saw an uptick in kitchen fires.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Inexperienced chefs.
Exactly. So the core business really just continued to go. So, disaster doesn't care whether a pandemic's going on, it's going to happen. But from a franchise development perspective, obviously it was, the word of the year is pivot, right? How did we have to try and pivot? Well, we are a brand that sells itself on its culture, its leadership, and its people. how do you do that through through this camera? And so, it took a lot of soul searching. We certainly had a couple that didn't go so well, but what we did through the development of the team here, and my team specifically, my marketing team, is we turned these virtual meet the team days into like almost an interview. So we have someone in the room who kind of moderates, and there's some slides, but it's more of some questions. These are questions that we've heard throughout our many meet the team days, but we're getting out in front of them. And then that would also now drive more active collaboration on screen. And look, we had our best quarter right at, in second quarter of last year into the third quarter, best numbers ever as far as units being awarded and things of that nature, all through the TV screen. So we just struck lightning in a bottle. We weren't presenting at people. We were having conversations. We gave them more access to our executives, who said, look, if you think of something that we didn't cover, here's my email, here's my phone, call me. So it was that openness to keep connecting with our prospects that just led for us to beating our franchise development goal in last year, and it's carried through to this year. We had a record-breaking first quarter that are numbers that are way beyond I can imagine, and we've been blessed.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're just using the visual part of what everyone's used to Zooming to just build relationships with those candidates, and you're doing it earlier on, which is, I think, great. So you think that will continue? You think that you'll kind of bring them into your team earlier than the discovery day? They're kind of interacting with your team and asking those questions.
Yeah, definitely.
So how about, I think you've done a really good job describing the culture of PuroClean. What about opportunities that you allow your franchisees to learn and connect with each other within that network or that frame of your culture?
So we did have in-person regional meetings towards the end of the year last year in states that certainly allowed it. Since we didn't have a national convention, we made kind of more of like a super regional, right? So we had two. We had three scheduled, but one state didn't fully open up yet. But we had 50 plus franchises at both of them. So there was a need to connect. There was a need to do that. And so we did it very safely, very in accordance with the CDC. And so that was another thing. But early on in the pandemic, certainly we did daily calls with the network. There was ownership involved. There was, execs. There were the regional directors. Everybody had a little tidbit of something to share, and how to go about and keep your business going. So we did that for almost a few months. But like I said, as again, fortunate also here to be in Florida, where we were not as locked down as such. I mean, we only shut the office probably for about 3 months to see what was going on. And obviously we're PuroClean, and we can clean our buildings and such. So then getting people back into the office, getting them back in and communicating with the owners, and I think that made a difference. They said, well, these guys are going to bat for us, and it helped, and it helped drive again some months of record revenue for the team, because our regional directors were able to start doing visits, and they were doing virtual visits as well, and keeping them in. So just to bring in a wide web of different areas of communication to the franchise owners was just another monumental task that we were able to pull off pretty great.
Yeah, I love it. And I think I remember talking to Steve with those regional meetings. Those were at the request of the franchisees.
Yes.
They wanted you back in the markets.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. That's good. A culture of listening to what your franchisees need. I like that. Okay, I have one last question for you.
Yes.
If someone asked you, why should I do business with FBR? What would you tell them?
Listen, I think culture. You guys are great culture, and you provide a great product. I think it's and guidance. Not only do you provide the survey data, which is instrumental, but you also help us learn how to analyze the data as well. I think we're getting pretty good at it now. We don't require your phone calls, except if we certainly have some questions. But I think you're there to help franchisors guide through the data that you pile, and maybe even help develop some solutions of what you've seen other franchisors experience and do. So you're also there more as also a satisfaction consultant, that can help drive impactful change to businesses, and help them succeed and grow. So we love it. We love when you guys are like family, and we really appreciate the intel that your survey provides.
That's awesome. We love working with you too. Two brands, both award winners. Is that coincidence?
Well,
I love it. I love it. No, good culture attracts good culture. So I love
yeah.
it. This is all really great. Thank you so much, Tim, for your time today.